Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at the feature race of what should be a fantastic afternoon of racing at Laurel Park. Several stakes races Saturday at Laurel, but we're going to take a look at the field for race number 9. It's the $100,000 Richard W. Small Stakes at 1 1/8. And Mike, this is a graded stakes caliber field.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, they're going for a $100,000 purse. A lot of these horses could be running for more than that. It's a really, really good field of horses. And I actually feel like a well-matched field of horses as well.
Let's begin with the old war horse, the number 4, Paige McKenney, who has won 20 of 51 lifetime starts. He's earned $1.7 million. And at the ripe old age of 7, he still has that killer instinct. He's riding a 2-race win streak. He handles 1 1/8 and obviously Laurel. Yeah. And he's just the horse to beat, I think.
I think he is too. Boy, I mean, how great is this horse? All he does is show up and run every time. And then when you try and get by him in the stretch, if he's on the lead, God forbid he makes the front, mid-stretch in this race, you're just beat because he's not going to let you get by. He's a really good horse. I agree with you. I don't think is he the morning line favorite?
7-2.
He's a morning line favorite. He should be. He's the horse to beat in here.
Last time out, he went after a fast horse, Matt King Cole, early on the turn, and it took a while for Paige McKenney to get by Matt King Cole, and it looked like Just Call Kenny, who's also in this race, was going to pick the bones of both of them in the stretch. And it appeared when Paige McKenney heard Just Call Kenny coming, he spurted away yet again. He really wants to beat you, and as we said, he's the horse to beat. Now, a horse dropping out of several graded stakes is the number 5, Watershed, for Godolphin and Kieran McLaughlin. This horse is already a graded stakes winner this year, and in his recent 2 starts, in against Shaman Ghost in the Pimlico Special, in against Keen Ice in the Suburban, simply overmatched. Why don't we like this horse more than we probably should?
It's very simple for me. You know where I stand on this.
You want him short.
I want him turned back to be a closing sprinter, because I think that's what he is. And I say that realizing fully well that he won the Benelli earlier this year at 9 furlongs. I would just point out that in that race, 2 things in his favor that day. Birdsong, who was distance challenged, was on the lead in that race and gave it up through the stretch, and this horse ran him down. And that was a day, whether it has any bearing on the outcome or not, that was a day Kieran was just on fire. He won 4 stakes races that day, or 4 races on the card that day, 2 stakes. So this horse had a lot of things going his way that day. He's good enough to win. He's fast enough to win. If he gets a pace set up in this race, maybe he very well will win. I am not betting him until Kieran turns him back to sprint.
Let's talk about the 6, Securitiz, who broke a long losing streak last time out in the restricted Seattle Slew Stakes. That's a 1-turn 1 1/8 at Belmont on September the 9th. Did he win that race, or did Backside of the Moon do what he usually did? He kind of gave that race up. I was really more disappointed at Backside of the Moon than I was proud of Securitiz.
I agree with that. It looked like Backside of the Moon was home free in that race. He just didn't seal the deal. And, it's to Securitiz's credit that he just carried on at the end of that race and prevailed. But to me, that's all he did, is just carry on and sort of take advantage of a horse who didn't seal the deal. I don't know, Dan. I had high hopes for this horse early on. I don't like the way he's come back this year. To me, none of his races are really that good. I don't want him in this race.
The 7, Fear the Cowboy, at 6-1 is as honest as the day is long. He has been in the exact of 15 of 25 with 8 big victories, and he's dropping out of a fairly live graded stakes race at Churchill Downs, that Lucas Classic. The runner-up came back to win an optional claimer with a 93 buyer. The 3rd finisher came back to break the track record at Keeneland and earn a 103 buyer speed figure. Do you like him at 1 1/8? I actually like him at slightly shorter distances, but boy, is he consistent.
Yeah, I agree with that. I kind of prefer him going shorter. He's won at this distance before, so I'm not going to hold it against him. And I just feel like he's a horse I have to use in this race. I think he's going to get a great trip in here. And you're right, that last race, it's pretty alive. It's also a race where this horse didn't have any chance at all. I mean, just a rated early pace, and they took this horse back off of it. I don't think he had a fair chance last time. I think he's a huge contender in here.
Just Call Kenny is a graded stakes winner this year, but I think you could easily make the argument that this field in the Richard W. Small, much tougher than the field he took down in the Illman on August the 26th. That was only a 4-horse field. Mr. Jordan, it's quite possible, has seen better days. Eagle, I think the question is, never really that good to begin with. And this horse just got a perfect trip behind a pace stool, got the jump on Eagle and won it. Since then, we saw Paige McKenney turn him back, and then last time out, you wonder, maybe in start number 10 last time out was one too many in 2017. He might need a break.
That's a good point. And everything you say about his Illman win is true. Not that we're trying to diminish what he did there. He became a great stakes winner. But I mean, everything, that was, you were 100% right about him that day. If you take that race out of his PPs, I mean, Is he really a contender in this race? I mean, I guess he's a contender, but I don't think he's a very strong one. And it's hard to shake that race 2 starts back where Page McKenna. He had all the best of it that day, and he couldn't get by.
It was nice to see Discreet Lover get a win last time out. He beat Just Call Kenny in that race at Parks, going a mile after race in which he was just put in against horses where he had no chance. I mean, he faced Gun Runner in both the Woodward and the Whitney. He faced Shaman Ghost in the Pimlico Special. He ran in that Excelsior where Send It In and Two Brutus ran like 1 million Buyers speed figure. You dropped him down, he got a win, but now he's back up in class again.
Yeah, he's taking another step back up in class. I'd like to do that with this horse. And I'll tell you what,
He's a
they
nice
got to be
horse.
pretty proud of him. He shows up and he runs every time. These races are pretty tough for him, though.
The Timeform U.S. Pace Projector has the number 9, A Fleet Willie, out there on the lead, fairly unchallenged. I'm not sure I agree with it because we have the 8 All Out of Aces who likes to be forwardly placed, and we have Dr. Mounty down on the rail who also likes to be out there. I think there'll be 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure if Fleet Willie will get an easier lead. If he does, though, he's very dangerous because last time out in that restricted Governor's Day, he just dominated that field. It was not a strong field, but he took pace heat early. They went a legitimate pace, and then he just poured it on in the stretch. The distance is somewhat of a question mark.
I'm worried about the distance for him. He's been going fast paces in his most recent starts, and he's actually run pretty well on those fast paces. I agree with you. I think he'll be on the lead here. He may not be completely loose, but I think he will make the front in here, and then we'll just see if he can get the 9 furlongs. That concerns me more than anything else about him.
All of his 2-turn races are good, and I think that could be key. He tried this distance earlier in the year in the Harrison Johnson, and he fought Matt King Cole all the way down to the wire. I think he's a solid horse, but a lot of people are on him. The 8 All Out of Aces for Larry Jones. Listen, he's won his last 3 starts. It would be a 5-race winning streak if not for a head and a nose. Is he this good? I mean, this is a big step up in class.
Yeah, they're stepping him up at the right time. He's in very good form right now. They bumped him up a little bit last time he came through. They'll try it again. I think this is going to be too tough for him.
You say that Watershed should be cut back in distance. I like Fellowship at shorter distances, and they're going to try again at 1 1/8. I mean, his most recent wins, 1.77 furlongs. He's a likable little horse who, really hasn't got much better since early than his 3-year-old season.
Yeah, he was pretty good early 3-year-old, but even at that time, I think everybody sort of realized that it almost felt like they would try and get him as far as they could along that Triple Crown trail. Then once that got over with, they'd turn him back into a sprinter. They never really did that, but I still want them to do that. This horse is pretty good, but he doesn't want to go that far.
We saw a case in last week's Breeders' Cup of a horse win a big race, the Met Mile, and then go away for a long time and return and was flat. No distortion. The last time we saw him was in middle July, and he came from off the pace here into 91 Buyers speed figure. It looked like this horse could continue to pick off similar spots over the summer in the Mid-Atlantic region. He went away. Does that concern you? Because if you look at his work tab, it's one bullet after another.
Yeah, it does concern me. Larry Jones works his horses fast, so I don't want to get too caught up in the workout line, although it does look pretty good to me. I don't like that he went away after the big win last time. The other thing that worries me about him is when you start going through the big, he's got a few spaced out big races on his card. They're all at Delaware Park when he gets loose on the lead. And I think it's going to be a little different for him this time.
Bodhisattva, we know his deal. He's going to go right to the back of the pack. He's going to hope for a hot pace, and he's going to hope to come rolling. Let's be honest, though. He's faced some pretty tough horses in his recent dirt races. Made from Lucky, who won the Greenwood Cup, and just found himself going long at the end of his career. He came out of that race to win a stake at Belmont with a 90 Buyer. 2 back, he was in against Destin, who won the Breeders' Cup Marathon last week. 3 back, Tom's D'Etat was all the rage for a brief while for Al Stahl. Then there are turf races. Then there's Shaman Ghost, then there's Imperative. I mean, this horse has faced some tough cookies. I'm not sure there's enough pace, but I wouldn't completely X him out because he, on occasion, outruns his odds.
Yeah, he really wants some pace to just develop in front of him that he can sit out and make one run into. And if that happens, he can certainly get a pretty big piece of this. It's hard for me to make him win, but I won't be surprised if he's coming at the end.
Such a tough race on paper, the Richard W. Small Stakes. Let's take a look at our top selections. You're going with Dr. Mounty. Tell us about him. I know you've always been a big fan of Dr. Mounty, and it looks like he's starting to slowly put it together. Is this another example of a late developing Shug McGahee trainer?
Yeah, we'll see. At least I'm hoping that's what it is. I mean, he's a horse who had a lot of potential early on in his career. I mean, each of his first, 4 or 5 races are all good. He just felt like a horse who was really developing, especially when Shug started stretching him out. He had that race against Connect last summer where he went right to his nose at the start, put a line through that race, and he won a big race here right off that layoff. And you know what I like about him? I like that he has really good tactical speed. When he won that race at Laurel last July, he sat right up on the pace with the horse who's going to be on the lead in here, that A Fleet Willie, is that
yep.
his name? And that horse was making the pace. This horse stalked him and buried him through the second turn and won easy. And he missed time after that race. And he said, I don't love that Chuck brought him back and tried to make him a turf horse this year. To me, that says maybe he had a pretty severe injury. But he ran pretty well on turf, and then they got back to dirt last time. And I like the way that he won. I like his tactical speed. I like the inside post. I like that it'll be a price in a wide open race. Maybe he can't beat the favorite in this race, Paige McKenney, but I'm hoping he can get a big piece of it.
12-1 on one. Dr. Matty, as you mentioned, great trip should be coming from the inside post. 1-4-7-5 for Mike. I'm a little worried about the distance for Fleet Willie. I like the way he won last time, and he probably needs that pace projector to be right.
I think he does.
And if it doesn't, he's in trouble. So this is kind of a spread race. I'm not throwing Paige McKenney out.
No,
you have to
you can't.
use him, and I would use probably a little bit of Watershed as a backup, simply because he could be the class of the race. Mike's going 1-4-7-5. I'm going to go 9-4-5 in the $100,000 Richard W. Small Stakes. It's one of a handful of stakes races at Laurel on Saturday. If you're betting that card, please use DRF Bets, because if you sign up now at drf.com/fall and use the promo code FALL300, you'll immediately access a $300 sign-up bonus. Approximate post time for race number 9 at Laurel, the Richard W. Small Stakes, 4 o'clock Eastern. Good luck.